You know, this script got started as a rant about the season 5 premiere, which I'm actually deciding not to review until the English dub comes out so the wiki is more complete, and then I got sidetracked ranting about Emilie Agreste. The rant got long-winded enough that it kind of became its own thing, and so here we are. Emilie Agreste is weird. Hello everyone, my name's Aloubell, and technically, Emilie herself isn't weird, her circumstances are weird. Like, it's weird that she's supposed to be so important to Gabriel, and we only get a somewhat substantial flashback with her in it only recently. Over 100 episodes into the show, and the writers finally did the bare minimum. Great job!
But Aloe, that's not really a fair thing to say. Who Emilie is or what she did doesn't matter nearly as much as her effect on the people around her. Just like Mr. Freeze's wife from Batman, we don't need to know about her in order to understand that her husband loves her and is desperate to do anything to bring her back. She's just a plot device. A sympathetic plot device, but a plot device nonetheless.
Did Mr. Freeze's wife really not get any development in any of the comics, movies, or series?
I have no idea, actually. Did she?
You're the one who made it sound like she didn't.
I share the same memories as you from before the split, so if you don't know, I don't know. But what I said sounded smart, right?
Yes, it was very smart, Bell. And while you do have a point to some degree, I'd still argue that development of this kind of character would be useful. I mean, sure, any extra information could easily botch the intention and make us care less about the character by sharing too much, but at the same time, you could endear the character to the audience more by letting us know about them. Sure, we might not need to know why Gabriel cares so much for Emilie. All we need to know is that he loves her enough to go to stupid and desperate ends in order to bring her back. It certainly helps us to feel for Gabriel, and Adrien as well, because we see their pain and what she meant to them. But the why does matter if the writers want us as an audience to care about her or their relationship. Let's be honest here, if fanfiction didn't exist, and if she didn't have a somewhat appealing character design, no one would care about Emilie. And on that note, I'll push harder on that point. I know Adrien and Gabriel speak fondly of her, but what if Emilie was a terrible person? What if she was only nice to her family but awful to everyone else? We probably wouldn't want her to come back. This probably isn't the case, but the point still stands. I want to know what value this woman brought to Gabriel's life that he's willing to destroy everything to get her back. Because at this point, Gabriel is either naturally unhinged, or Emilie was literally the best person ever and saved his life or something. I mean, yeah, at this point in Miraculous, Gabriel has drunk that power and revenge juice and is just using Emilie as a justification to defeat Ladybug and Cat Noir, since his pride has been ripped to shreds by literal children. But it did legitimately start as him wanting to save his wife, so I need more info on this lady. Besides, the Mr. Freeze's wife analogy doesn't work here, maybe, because unlike Mr. Freeze's wife, perhaps, Emilie had a hand in all of the shenanigans going on. She was a previous Miraculous holder, and it was presumably her use of the Peacock Miraculous that put her in the state she's in. Since this is the literal catalyst of the big bad of the show, I think it's rather important to show us what happened and why. I got sidetracked again. Anyway, Emilie is certainly an anomaly, but what gets me more than her lack of development is the current state she's in. Like, what's up with her? Is she dead, or is she in a coma? And what is she considered to the public? If she's dead, it's a bit morbid and surprising for Disney Channel to show kids so often. And how do you just casually have a dead body in your repository? Someone other than Gabriel and Natalie have to know that she's there, because there was a coroner who looked at her body, and she was probably at a mortuary for a while. Someone had to help Gabriel get the body to his house. Even if Gabriel told whichever authorities that he'd put Emilie in a private cemetery or something, I feel like they'd be tracked for some reason. But in any case, the morbidity of the whole situation is what makes me more convinced that she's in a coma. But everyone is treating her like she's dead.
Hey Aloe, apparently Thomas Astruc tweeted that her death is public information and that a funeral was held for her.
Huh. Well, if that's the case, how come most sources of info on Miraculous says that she's considered as missing? In Ephemeral, it's been like 100 weeks since Emilie disappeared. Are there some people out there who think she's missing and are continuing to look for her? Or has she been missing for so long that she was considered as probably dead? Well, before I get into talking about this confusing situation further, if you're enjoying this video, then make things make sense by hitting that like button and subscribe for more reviews, rants, and rewrites. And if you're still watching, put a peacock emoji in the comments. Thank you! Hey guys, this is Aloe from the future in the editing process. I realized that I forgot to mention, for those of you who haven't been on my channel for very long, that I talked about Emilie in the past. Specifically, why she had blue eyes in the Wishmaker episode. I ended up making a pretty out there theory, but nevertheless I enjoyed talking about it, so if you could watch that video after this one, that would be great. Alright, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Considering the whole "this is way too morbid for a dead body to routinely show up on a Disney Channel show" ordeal, I'm pretty sure Emilie is just in a coma and Gabriel is hiding her from everyone. But she's considered to be missing, so what, did Gabriel convince everyone to just give up looking for her and just assume she's dead? That's completely unrealistic, in my opinion. Usually a victim who has disappeared is only considered dead if there's evidence. People have been missing for a lot longer than that and aren't ruled off as dead. Sure, a person's loved ones might lose hope and just assume the person is dead after a certain amount of time has passed, but I feel like you can't just make that call whenever you want. If Emilie has been missing for 100 weeks as of Ephemeral, and she was considered dead before this, then I wonder, how long was she missing before some people thought of her as dead? If it was too quickly, then that immediately makes Gabriel look suspicious for wanting to close the case so early. Of course, that would only make sense and lead to a thorough investigation of Gabriel, which would lead to the show ending earlier. Probably, since he'd be primary suspect number 1 and Natalie as primary suspect number 2. I know the writers don't want you to think too hard about this, or most things in this show for that matter, but I can't help it. If you just watch the show casually, the cracks in logic might not be super obvious, at least not for this particular circumstance, but they are, nevertheless, cracks. And cracks make for an unsturdy structure. So, from what I gather, the show is telling us that Emilie, to the public, was considered missing, but for reasons unknown and not explained, the investigation to find her had ended and she was considered to be dead. Want to hear a darker version of the Emilie is in a coma story? One that absolutely is not Disney Channel friendly? Gabriel tells everyone she died and used some kind of shenanigans to get her breathing to momentarily stop, or he pays a lot of money to, or better yet blackmails, some shady doctors who gives her some type of drug or something that stops her from breathing so that the public can see her body at the funeral and be convinced that she's dead. After the funeral, the same shady doctors help move Emilie's comatose body into Gabriel's repository to put her into her cryogenic pod. And it is through their science and technology that they are able to use the pod to keep her alive and monitor her vitals and all that. Because let's be real here, there is absolutely no reason in canon why or how Gabriel got his hands on a cryogenic pod and understands how to fully use it. Like, has anyone ever stopped to think about that? Where did he get that machine, and how is it able to function? This guy is a fashion designer, not whatever kind of scientist is necessary to use this thing. Even if he is stupid rich and just bought one, it's still just very, very odd.
So, what, Aloe? What's the point that you're trying to make?
Well, like I said, it's all very odd, and not the most structurally sound of storytelling choices. So, I offer some alternatives. Option number 1. Make Emilie actually dead. This is the route I chose in my story. If you're gonna have Gabriel try to bring her back anyway, just commit to her mortality. Make Emilie dead and don't keep her body around. Option number 2. Let Emilie stay in a coma, but make the coma public knowledge. Sure, the doctors might be confused as to how and why she's in a coma, since they would be unable to account for the magical reasons, but at least her state is unambiguous and there's more hope for her just popping out of it one day. This alternative also makes Gabriel seem less like a creep like he does in canon by telling everyone near and dear to Emilie that she's dead while he hoards her comatose body to himself. Also, in this option number 2 with her comatose self lying at the hospital, Adrien gets to see and visit her often, during which we can see his pain and his mom being so close, but so far. Maybe Adrien also finds out about how the Ladybug and Black Cat Miraculous' unification allows the user to make a wish. Yes, the wish is at a high price, but he's seriously tempted and struggles with what he should do. What if this leads to him becoming a villain, and Ladybug has to deal with 2 villains after her Miraculous? Both Hawkmoth and Cat Noir would be fighting each other, but would also be fighting for the exact same thing, and would have no idea that they were actually on the same side since they don't know each other's identities. Think of the drama. Option number 3 is close to the show's idea of her being in a coma and said to have gone missing, but her official status is just that, missing. And during most of the show, authorities are searching for her and Gabriel is doing his absolute best to not look sketchy. Sure, this option is the worst for Gabriel's character, as he is still a creep who keeps a comatose body to himself, all while allowing Emilie's loved ones to worry about her, but at the very least, he isn't telling everyone she's dead, so there's that. As for Adrien, as Cat Noir, he could use his new powers to search high and low throughout Paris for her almost every day. Each of these options would work tremendously better than what we have in the show. We still get the catalyst for Gabriel's actions while making Emilie's current state less confusing and problematic. So, what do you guys think? How do you feel about how Emilie is being treated in this show, and does her death coma and all the circumstances around it make sense to you? How do you like my alternative options? Comment below and let's get this conversation started. But before you go, I have something to share with you all. A few weeks ago, the company GAOMON, makers of awesome graphic tablets such as my precious and reliable GAOMON PD1320 pen display, reached out to me asking me to try out and review their pen display, the GAOMON PD1320. Naturally, I was over the moon that someone actually wanted to send me a free tablet just so that I could talk about it. And so here I am, talking about it. Time to head on over to reality and unbox this thing. So, I received the package from GAOMON in basically no time at all, so I appreciate that the waiting period was so short. I was super excited to try out this new tablet as I was thinking it was time to buy a new one pretty soon. The box was completely undamaged and I was pleased to see such aesthetically pleasing art on the front of it. Oh! When I opened the box, I found that the tablet was a bit bigger than I was expecting, so that's nice. I should have known the size would have been different from what I was imagining because I'm actually really bad at guessing the measurement of things. I was initially confused about this black leather thing, but I came to find out that it is a small stand/prop for the tablet, just in case you didn't want to draw on it at a completely flat angle. Everything else was in the box as it should be. The instruction manual. One of those gloves that you have the option of wearing when working on pen displays. I personally don't use them, but I appreciate having the option. We have the proper cables needed in order to make it work. The pen stylus itself, which doesn't require charging, which is a huge plus. There's also a pen holder that comes with extra nubs for the future. And here is the tablet. So shiny. But that's actually a protective coating for shipping purposes. What you can't tell from here is that after you peel the protective layer, there's another protective layer so that you don't have to go out of your way and buy one for the screen. So thanks GAOMON for saving me money. So you guys already saw the speed paint during the video discussion, but here you get to see me actually working on the tablet itself. Due to my own technical ineptitude, I had some problems setting up the cables that sort of messed up my computer a bit, but fortunately, GAOMON replied to my request for help and patiently walked me through the process to make things right. With their help in my own experimentation, I found out that I put the cords in the wrong places. Oops. Something cool about the PD1320 is that, with the right cables, you can hook it up to your phone just in case you have trouble, like I do, using your finger to create artworks. I might try that one day, but that would require me to buy the necessary cable, as what I received in the mail is only compatible for the computer. As for the tablet itself, I like the colors on the PD1320 more than the 1560. They are more saturated and clear in my opinion. I didn't run into any pen pressure issues, so I appreciate how the tablet was ready to go immediately after installing the driver. It's a bit unfortunate that the tablet doesn't come with express keys or a metal stand to prop the tablet up in a way that I'm used to, but that's not the fault of the tablet. I just got used to doing things a certain way. I think overall, this would be an excellent beginner pen display if you're deciding to upgrade from a regular drawing tablet. Just make sure you read the instructions super carefully upon installation and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. Thank you, GAOMON, for sending me this tablet. I appreciate the opportunity. I'd like to give thanks to God as well, because without him, GAOMON wouldn't have reached out to me in the first place. So thank you so much, God, for this opportunity. And for the awesome new tablet. For the rest of you lovely people, remember, I'm the artistic Aloubell, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like it and subscribe for more reviews, rants, and rewrites. But as for now, that's all there is. There isn't any more.